everybody, I hope you guys are all doing well. Kind of wanted to do a quick little video on studying, and particular studying tips for those who might be in their first year or second year, who might just be getting into university now. So with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was really important, first and foremost, is to prioritize. And I'm talking to you procrastinators, and this also applies to me as well. Kind of prioritize, or plan your things accordingly. For example, say you have a really big research proposal due. You obviously don't want to put it to the last minute or within the last week, especially if this research proposal is a big one. It's 40% of your mark. So, you'd want to plan your weeks or your days accordingly. And if it's a project that is seemingly very large and you think like, oh my god, this is way too big, how am I supposed to do this all within a set time? One of the other ways, or one of the things that you can do, is to basically break down your assignment bit by bit. So for example, on one day you might finish the intro of a research proposal. So that's done. The next day you'll begin to work on the lit review, or you'll collect the literatures or all of the research behind your research proposal. And so you go from there, you go bit by bit until you actually complete the whole project. Another example would be like an exam. So an exam that might be, again, including, maybe 4 or 5 chapters. You work by the chapter. And if that still feels overwhelming for you, you work by the important topics within each chapter. And then you go from there. Yeah, so basically you just work with what you feel you're comfortable with, and you go from there. So the next one kind of feeds off of what I've just said. Like, you basically just go from what you're comfortable with. So the next one is to know yourself and to know your style. So how are you as a person who studies? Like, are you a visual learner? Like, do you prefer more like colors in your notes? Like, do you like to use highlighters? And do you like to use concept maps? Do you like to look at charts or graphs in order for you to understand certain concepts and theories? Or are you just the type of person who, if you're to read things, you just automatically be able to get it? So kind of know your style, know what you're comfortable with, and then you work with that again. So for me personally, I feel like at first I thought I was always a person that if I were to just keep on reading things over and over again, I'll just be able to understand it. But I feel like the more I study and the different courses that I get into, it's more of a mixture between both. By reading things over and over again, in addition to making concept maps or looking at graphs, looking at YouTube videos, which I find is so helpful, especially when you're learning about, like, I don't know, Fourier transform or brain oscillations or something like that. A lot of courses right now, like a lot of the theories and concepts, if you were to just look on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of videos that you could find that would be very helpful for you, and people will actually be able to, break things down bit by bit and to help you understand concepts better. The next one here is to attend your classes and tutorials, and I think that this is completely common sense, but at the same time, I never used to do this, or like I never did this consistently when I was in my first and second year, which I completely regret now, but it's so important just to attend your classes and tutorials and not just, either one of them, because in your classes or in your lectures, that's where all of the content and all of the theoretical information is coming from. And then when you attend your tutorials, that's when you get all of the supplementary information. That's when you're able to actually ask questions, and it's more interactive in the tutorials. And you'll be able to get more clarification from the TAs or from other students in your class. And yeah, they kind of just feed off of each other. So if you only just attend one or the other, you're not really getting the best learning experience that you can possibly get, and your grades will suffer. So it's always best to attend your classes and to not skip. Or if you really feel the need or the urge to skip, and you aren't able to attend a class or you aren't able to attend a tutorial, then at least try and do something that can compensate for the missed class. Like, for example, if you were to miss a class for studying for another test, then I would personally think that's not so bad. But if it was like, okay, I'm missing a class so that I could go out with my friends, then that's not really, that's like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. The next one I have here is to balance yourself. Maybe at times you feel overexhausted and you're just you're overloaded with all this work and all this studying, and you have so many exams, and there's just too much to handle. It's always a good way to kind of back off from your work, actually, and to kind of just relax. It's actually harder to retain information if you keep on working longer rather than if you take periodic breaks here and there. So it's always kind of good to take just short little breaks, go out for a walk, like stretch or something for like 5 minutes, just so that you can get your mind off of things just for a while, and then you can get back on the grind. Or, if you've been studying consecutively for how many days, it's always good to, go out every now and then. Not every day, but, just to kind of back off from work again and to just hang out with friends, just go on a casual brunch or a lunch or whatever. The next one that I have here, I think this is actually really good. To read out loud and to reiterate the theories and the concepts in your own words. And by doing this, you're able to not just memorize things and regurgitate, crap from the textbook, but you're actually trying to understand, okay, so why is this happening? Or with this theory, how can this apply to so-and-so? Or how can this theory apply in this sort of context? And the next one is it kind of feeds off again from the last one, so to always look for the similarities and the differences between theories. So if you were to look at the similarities between two theories and the differences, you're able to, further understand what you're actually trying to read. Yeah, and then apply them to examples. So how can this theory apply to, this situation? Or how does this theory perform in this situation in comparison to this other theory? I hope that makes sense. But yeah. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think my last, personal tip would be, or advice would just to try and not overwhelm yourself. I know that's very hard to do, even though, you have all this stress or pressure that's put on you, you have to do good in order to be, successful or something like that. But yeah, just try not to stress too much. Balance yourself, If you feel stressed or something, you can always go out, get your mind off of things. Let me know what you guys do in the comments down below. What do you guys do to kind of de-stress yourself? For me personally, if I can't go out, or if, student life, I have no money to go out, I can always, kind of back off of my work and meditate. Whenever I mention that to people, they always think it's kind of weird, I guess. You just don't often hear, students meditate or something, or that people don't meditate. I don't know. Maybe it's just Canadian culture. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you guys do to de-stress, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
If you were a shape,
Yes.
what shape would you be?